guys, welcome to my channel Among Stouts. If you're new here, my name is Samantha and I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom of 4 kiddos. And in today's video, I just wanted to share with you guys 5 things that I have learned in my first year of homeschooling. So if you are new to my channel, my kiddos and I have recently finished up our first year of homeschooling. We are in the middle of our summer-ish break doing just a little bit of unit studies here. And some reading. That's about all we're doing right now. And then we'll be going into our second year of homeschooling. So before we start getting more into all of the things that we're using and doing and bringing you guys along our second year of homeschooling, I just wanted to share some things that I learned in my first year. If you are also a new homeschooling mom or someone who is considering homeschooling, I hope that these things that I have learned will be beneficial to you in helping you either decide whether to homeschool or not, or maybe some of these things are helpful to you that maybe you hadn't really thought about yet. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these 5 things that I learned in my first year of homeschooling. So a little bit of background on me. I have always been, since having my first kiddo who's now 11, he'll be 12 in November. Since having him, I have been a part-time slash full-time stay-at-home mom off and on. I have been a student and I have also been a working mom. So while I was in school for a couple years, I went to night school. My husband was still in the Air Force, so he worked during the day. I went to night school and I was home with my son while he was a baby and a toddler. And then after I had my daughter, who was baby number 2, I was still finishing up school. And then once those first 2 years, which were my associate's degree, finished up, I started working full-time. Then I got into my bachelor's program, which ended up being online. And so I was staying home again, but also doing school. And I kind of have just gone back and forth over the years between working, school, staying home full-time. And so I would say that right now, currently, this last year, almost 2 years now, I've been a full-time stay-at-home mom, no school, no working outside the home, just been here with my kiddos. And so now we have also started homeschooling. Before we moved to Texas, I was working and I worked with kiddos with autism. I worked in a private clinical setting. And then after that, I worked in the public school setting because I wanted to have the same days on and off as my kiddos who were in public school. So all of that to say, when it comes to schooling, I was public schooled, my husband was public schooled, and my kiddos, my first 2 were public schooled. My oldest son was public schooled all the way through 4th grade, half of 5th grade. And then my daughter, who's under him, was all the way through 2nd grade, half of 3rd grade, and then my daughter under her was half of kindergarten, and then I had my toddler. So upon starting homeschool, I was very public school minded. A lot of it definitely has taken time for me and my kids to get out of the public school mindset. But I think we're finally there. So a lot of what I learned over the course of my first year of homeschooling has been transitioning away from the public school mindset. So the first thing that I learned this year is routine over schedule. I am a very schedule-oriented person, especially based off what I've done for work in the past. As I've already mentioned, I worked with kids with autism, building routines and schedules for them and their behavioral management plans and things like that. And then I also worked in the public school where it is very scheduled out and, you're moving at a fast pace and just everything is scheduled out to the minute. And so my kids thrived off of that in public school as well. So I thought that it would make sense for me to just go and do what I know and do what they know and just schedule everything out. And let's just say that does not work for us homeschooling as much as I thought that it would. The second that we are off by a few minutes or anything and everything starts to get off track, our day just goes completely off the rails, and trying to keep to a very detailed schedule kind of just made like my anxiety levels even worse. And so I have found that just putting things in a routine and a flow has worked out much better for us, because I'm not holding myself to this strict schedule and standard. And I feel like that way I give myself more grace, I give my kids more grace, and I don't always feel behind. Like, I don't ever feel behind anymore. I always felt behind when I was scheduling things based on minutes and hours, and the scheduling the day out and the weeks out. That way I always felt behind. And by having a routine that we follow, like we know what we need to hit each day, it doesn't matter when we hit it, I never feel behind, and that just takes away so much stress off of me. So definitely routine over schedule. And I would say this is even more important if you have a baby or a toddler in tow, because they are going to be your number one distractions and your number one schedule breakers, interrupters, whatever it is. So in order to just avoid all of that from the get-go, just go ahead and lay out a routine or a flow and just ditch the time-based strict schedules. The second thing that I learned my first year of homeschooling is really that not everything that I chose for my kids was going to work for every single one of them, and everything that I thought that was going to work, everything in my mind that I thought would work may not work. So that's something that I had to learn, is like people, kids, adults, all of us, we all have different learning styles. And I knew this going into homeschooling, but I was just so used to like certain things working no matter what, no matter who I was working with. I was used to seeing like the public school system where, you know, you have no choice in what your curriculum is, but everybody appears to be doing okay with the curriculum that is already picked out. And I actually really know that that's not the case, because a lot of kids struggle in public school because they're not getting the appropriate teaching style or curriculum style, or being taught to their learning style optimally. So I don't know why I thought that I will just go look at curriculum online and, you know, check out some samples, go watch some flip throughs on YouTube, and these are going to be, and these things that I look at that I think that I will enjoy, that I think that I will enjoy teaching, that will make my life easier, will also A, make their life easier, B, will be work that they enjoy. So I thought that the curriculum would, one, be something that I enjoyed teaching. I thought that whatever I picked, I would enjoy teaching right off the bat, no questions asked. I thought that whatever I picked, all of my kids would enjoy it. And I also thought that whatever I picked, they would all do really well, and for the most part not have too many issues or struggles. I really didn't take into account in the beginning what all of their learning styles were, how they learn best, because honestly I didn't know those things. I think I've talked about this in a video in the past, but the number one thing that has been the biggest like benefit to pulling my kids out of public school and starting to homeschooling them is I have finally gotten to know who my kids are. It's so crazy to think that I had no idea who my kids were. I had no idea like how they truly like learned. And it does really sound so bad, but it's the truth. I thought that I knew my kids. I thought that I knew their learning styles, and I really didn't. And so that was something I had to take into account, and I had to be okay with, like, if it didn't work, getting rid of it. And so yes, being able to thinking that I found the perfect curriculum right from the get-go was something that I learned just was not the case. It's okay that whatever you pick, all of your kids may not enjoy. It's okay that whatever you pick might not be the right learning style for your kiddos. It may not be a curriculum that they can progress in like you thought that they would. And really, they may all not work in the exact same curriculum. They may not all enjoy the exact same curriculum from the same publishers or things of that sort, and it's totally okay. So that takes me into the next thing that I learned in my first year of homeschooling, and that is be flexible. And this is like all encompassing. Be flexible with your time, be flexible with your curriculum, be flexible with yourself, be flexible with your kids, be flexible with your space. In any aspect of homeschooling, one of the things that you really have to learn to be is flexible, because your day, your curriculum, your week, your experiment, your project, everything is not going to go according to plan. Everything is not going to go according to how maybe you thought that it would in your mind. Things aren't going to work out how you expected them to. Things aren't going to work for your kids like you expected them to. They're not going to make progress in something that you thought that they would. The best highly rated curriculum, it may not work for your kids, and all of that's totally okay, but you have to be flexible and you have to be willing to make those changes. So whether you are putting aside that $120 math curriculum that you purchased because it just doesn't work, or you're taking a break, on a Wednesday because y'all have just had enough and you just need a break from each other. Whatever it is, be willing to be flexible and make changes in your homeschool as needed when needed. Okay, and so that takes me into the next thing that I learned in my first year of homeschooling, which is take a break. Take a break when needed, as needed. One of the reasons I know for myself and for many other homeschooling families that you choose to homeschool is because of the freedom in homeschooling. And so with that freedom comes the ability to take breaks whenever you need a break. Take a break whenever, let your kids take a break, take a day off whenever they need it. I really had to tell this to myself, and it's something that I had to learn because, again, just being so used to that schedule and that routine of the public school system where you break when they tell you to break. If you're tired in the middle of the day, you got to keep going. That's just not the case at home, and that is the freedom in homeschooling. If you are having just it's been a bad morning, your afternoon is bad, just take the day off. There's no reason to keep going when nobody has a good attitude, whether it's you or your kiddos. If people are having a bad attitude or stressed out or sick, just take those breaks when you need to, because honestly, there's really no one to answer to except for yourself and your kids. So if your body or your mind or your kids' bodies or your kids' minds are telling you to slow down and take a break, just do it. So last but not least, the fifth and not the final thing, because there's more things that I learned in my first year of homeschooling, but the fifth thing that I wanted to tell you guys about today in this video is do not replicate the public school or someone else's homeschool. And so this, I feel like it's really easy to get on YouTube and see what other people are doing and see how well it works for their family and want to just take that and take it to your family and just do that. But what works for their family may not work for your family. What works for my family may not work for your family, and vice versa. And same with public school. There's a lot that doesn't work in public school, but they just keep doing it because they are managing a whole lot of kiddos with usually one adult. Sometimes if you're lucky in your school district and you have aides, you have two adults. But honestly, the way that things are done in public school really doesn't work. So the last thing you need to do is bring what you know or what you've learned from how they do things at public school and bring that into your homeschool. There may be aspects of it that work. I know for me, I have learned because of working in a public school setting, I've learned really good time management skills and planning skills and things like that. So small things like that, definitely bring those into your homeschool, bring those into your life if they benefit you. But if it's something that's stressing you out, like for me, trying to keep to a schedule, you don't need to do school for 6 to 8 hours a day in your homeschool like they do in the public school. and they really aren't even doing schoolwork that much in the public schools. So don't think that you have to replicate those school hours, and don't think that you have to replicate the same curriculum that another homeschool family is doing or that the public school is doing, because like I already mentioned, what works for them may not work for you. And also, it's really important that whenever you see some of these other homeschooling families, especially here on YouTube or Instagram, wherever you're following them, I really enjoy watching them and getting information and learning from them, because many of them have been doing this way longer than I have. And I am so thankful that they were willing to share their journeys, because seeing them on YouTube and being able to watch their families motivated me and encouraged me to make that step, and gave me like the full encouragement to like finally commit to homeschooling. And that's kind of what I want to do here on my channel. I don't want you guys to ever feel like I'm saying when I'm showing you curriculum that, oh, this is the best thing out there, you need to use this. I really just want to be a resource. There's so many moms on here who were a resource to me. And as a new homeschooler, I wanted to share my journey with my kiddos, to be a resource to you guys, to share how we're making things work, what we're making work, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and just give you guys some ideas of like things that maybe you should check out, but never for you to completely replicate in the way that we do it here in our home. Sometimes I know that I've seen this also, because so many of these veteran moms look like they have it all figured out, and they're all put together. And I feel like a hot mess express at home sometimes. And I know like it's just my first year, and I don't know if like some of these moms who've been homeschooling for over 5 years like ever feel like a hot mess express like I do. But seeing them and feeling like they have it figured out, it can really like start to weigh on you, and think that, well, maybe what they're doing I need to do so that I have it figured out and so that I am put together. But just because they have it figured out doesn't mean that they were never hot mess expresses. They may not be anymore, but I'm pretty sure they'll all tell you at one part they probably were. And it's just taken them years to find things that work for them and work for their kids, and to figure things out. So if you're new like I am, we are just going in that same process of figuring out what works for us and our family and our kiddos. So yeah, just be willing to figure things out for yourself. Take what you see and like check things out that you may be interested in. But yeah, don't replicate. I think that would probably stress you out when it doesn't work for you, like you see it work for others. So there you have it, guys. Those are the 5 things that I have learned in my first year of homeschooling. I'm really excited to be going into my second year and to continue along this homeschool journey that my family and I are on. And also, I'm really excited to go ahead and continue to bring you guys along this journey with us. I hope that these things that I post here on my channel are beneficial to you in some way. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit subscribe. I'd love to have you here as a part of my community. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!